goes it today, cretins? It's your friendly neighborhood space dwarf, Main Motar, and I have a bellyache. I don't know why I felt so nauseous when I woke up, but that doesn't matter. I read the Hellboy Crooked Man comic, and now I can relate it to the movie, and some of my questions have been answered. Like, what kind of adaptation was this movie to the comic? Well, it's damn near a one-to-one. So that explains a lot of the questions I had. Why is the dialogue so sparse? Why is everything so boring and lifeless? Why is the story so simple? Why is the pacing so bad? Why? A bunch of questions. Okay, so as an adaptation from the comic, the Hellboy movie, The Crooked Man, is almost a one-to-one, and it is faithfully translated to film. Cool. Normally, that would be fine if you had a visually appealing film that enhanced the original, medium that it was on. So, as a story in a comic book, the Crooked Man story is very simple. It's very slow. Not really too much going on. Hellboy is a side character, and pretty much that's what it does in the movie. But for a movie to be a movie, you have to have things that are visually entertaining on the screen. So like all that real like sparse dialogue in the comic, well, you know what? In real time in a movie, that really doesn't work. Basically in the comic, you could read that as fast as you want or as slow as you want. Time is not a factor. But in a movie, when you have Hellboy say, "I don't like that crap," and then nothing for a pause, and you keep doing that with every line of dialogue, it slows down the entire pacing of the whole thing, because you're no longer relying on your imagination to fill in the time of like when they're talking. Now you are being forced to sit through the pauses and slow pace, instead of just being able to blow through it at your own mind speed. You know what I'm saying? I know, I kind of know what I'm saying, and I hope you know what I'm saying. Like, instead, like, you're not beholden to an actual like speed at which you're progressing through the story. In the movie, you are. Now, in the comic, everything is drab, everything is washed out, everything is muted, there's no soundtrack, there's no music, you're looking at pictures on the page, colors, or lack thereof. But the one consistent color that you see is Hellboy. He's bright fucking red, and he stands out on every single page. Even if he is a background character and really contributes nothing, he's still visible in it. You can see him, you know that he's part of the story. It's something visual to catch your eye. In the movie, there is none of that. Yeah, everybody's moving around on screen, but it's like you might as well be watching the bushes move around and talk to each other. So, I mean, as an adaptation from the comic, yeah, that's pretty damn good. It's spot on. There are some things that were omitted from the comic, and some things that were, there's something, in the movie, okay, so in the comic there's no mention of Hellboy's mom. There's no mention of Hellboy's mom burning. He just is on his mission and he just wants to fight the Crooked Man for whatever reason. Just because he's bored, I guess. I don't know, maybe they needed to punch that up for the movie a little bit and add in some like reason why he's doing that. But yeah, that's whatever. The story really doesn't have much to it. It's pretty self-contained, pretty low stakes. Hellboy is not really a part of it. I don't know why they would choose to adapt this. Maybe because it's easy. Maybe because it was such a simple story. But like, that's my question now. Like, why would you try to adapt this? Is this for people that already know who Hellboy is? And if so, why don't they just listen to the comic dubs that I listen to on YouTube that were infinitely better than this movie? Because in the dubs, you get pretty good voices. Hellboy's voice sounds, they're pretty consistently that he has a low gravelly voice. In this movie, he did not. As far as sound design for those comic dubs, they have atmosphere to spare. Unlike this movie, which has none. Music-wise, yeah, music choices are great. They add to the story. And it looks and sounds great. It's entertaining. It's interesting, even though the story is kind of boring anyway. But it's still kind of entertaining. The comic dub did this much better than the actual movie did. The movie did. The movie, as far as looking like a comic, yeah, they did it. It's washed out. It's muted. It looks 2D. The only thing that they really fumbled on is the contrast of Hellboy actually sticking out. So if he was a little more red, a little bright red, or even if he had yellow eyes. I'm going to go back to those yellow eyes things. This contrast is definitely missing from the movie. That would have helped. Sound design would have helped. Atmospheric noises would have definitely helped. It is a good adaptation, I will say, after reading the comic and then listening to like the comic dubs and read-throughs. It works. It works on that level, on that one level. But like, you're making a movie, you're not making a comic. So there are other elements that you need to kind of like, have nailed down too. Like, it needs visuals. It needs things that are visually appealing. Even, like I said, even the fight scenes feel so like, they feel distant. They feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like you're part of the world or you're part of it. Sound design is kind of important too. Like, the atmospheric sound in the movie is terrible. And the audio, like I said before in the other video, the audio stings that they have, like the guitar stings they play in the music, doesn't really fit. Like in the comic dubs that I was watching, all the music was on point. All the atmospheric sounds were on point. They all contributed to the overall, the totality of the entire project. Some of the dub voices, they were all right. The movie nailed some of that better, but you're not making a comic. You're making a movie. It's supposed to look visually interesting, not just like a one-to-one to what's on the page of the comic, minus a few elements that make the whole thing work. I don't know. I'm still mad that I spent money on this. I'm not mad that I bought the comic. The comic was all right, and it was cheap, so that's not really a problem. But why would they use this story where he's not even the main character, and then make it look so bad? Like, I can understand how Mike Mignola, I don't know how to say his name, but I understand how he could sign off on this. Yes, it looks like the comic. It sounds, it's almost word for word from the comic. But yeah, I can understand how he could sign off on this and be like, yeah, this looks good. Because he's looking at a comic. That's why. That's why it looks good. As a movie, it looks like shit. It looks like shit and it runs like shit. It's slow and boring. Like in the comic, like I said before, your mind fills in all those gaps. Like in the gaps, you could read it at your own pace. Your mind fills in the sounds of the environment. You don't have to, you use your imagination and it kind of sees you through. In the movie, the imagination is supposed to be not turned off, and you're supposed to be presented with all of those aspects. And in the movie, they don't do that. So who the hell was this for, really? I mean, real comic book fans would be like, okay, but yeah, it's a one-to-one. Oh, yeah, it's a great adaptation. But it's a terrible movie. Like, is that really what you want? I don't know, man. I still got questions about this stupid thing. But I think I'm going to read some more of the comics now. And maybe some more of those, the comic dubs, because I actually like those. This movie is still terrible. This movie is terrible. Even if it is a solid adaptation of the Crooked Man story, it is still a terrible, boring piece of crap. And I'm sorry that I'm wasting everybody's time with this. I'm sorry that I'm wasting my own damn time with it. Especially since my stomach is bothering me, and I could be doing something else right now. Anyway, this is your friendly neighborhood space dork, Main Motar, saying good night and peace. Smooches, baby.